Welcome to Red Eye. Hello, everyone. My name's Tom Shalhoub. TV's Andy Levy is out again, so tonight we have a special guest star at the Red Eye Tease Deck. Host of the new smash hit show, Tucker Carlson Tonight, our very own Tucker Carlson.
Why, thank you, Tom. Coming up at the big show, a Republican representative says Donald Trump uses Twitter rants as his way to relax. Personally, I find nothing more relaxing than readings of the ratings of my new hit television show. We call it eponymously Tucker Carlson Tonight.
Yeah.
Plus, is it already okay for parents to spy on their children? Parents, take it from me, don't watch your kids, watch TCT. That's short for Tucker Carlson Tonight. It's a hit new program that airs at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday on the Fox News Channel. And finally, in New Zealand, that island country, Domino's is using drones to deliver pizza right to your home. Just like I'm using the magic of television to deliver the truth directly into your home on a nightly basis with my critically acclaimed new hit, Tucker Carlson Tonight. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you, Tucker. Tucker, 7 p.m., 2 a.m. That's the only run I care about of Tucker Carlson Tonight because it leads into our show.
Yes, exactly.
Tape them both, 2 to 4 a.m. Let's welcome our guests. It should be illegal to look that good, but she makes a compelling argument. Criminal defense attorney Remy Spencer. His hobbies include a nice Merlot and starting flame wars online. Observer columnist Michael Malice. You know, he always has a great smile, but there's now a reason for it. Host of Lou Dobbs Tonight on Fox Business, Lou Dobbs. And he's the guy who starts every fight over Thanksgiving dinner. Sitting right next to me from the Misery Loves Company podcast, comedian Kevin Brennan. All right, let's start the show. When Donald Trump goes on Twitter rants, it's just his way of relaxing. That's according to GOP Congressman Chris Collins. In an interview on CNN, Collins dismissed host Chris Cuomo's suggestion that Trump's tweet storms are not a healthy way for him to govern.
The pressure that has got to be on President-elect Trump is immense. The enormity of the job ahead of him. And so I would have to say, if this is his way of relaxing, God bless him.
Relaxing?
Let him Absolutely. If this is what he has some fun with and he finds this relaxing and his entertainment, let him go with it. You don't want this stuff all bottled up. So frankly, I don't have a problem with this in the least.
Well, early Wednesday morning, Trump was really relaxing. He fired off a series of tweets assailing the New York Times for a story claiming his transition team was in a state of disarray. Trump, perhaps with his feet up on the desk, composed the following tweets. The failing New York Times story is so totally wrong on transition. It is going so smoothly. Also, I have spoken to many foreign leaders. I have received and taken calls from many foreign leaders despite what the failing New York Times said. Russia, UK, China, Saudi Arabia, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and more. I'm always available to them. New York Times is just upset they looked like fools in their coverage of me. Trump then removed the cucumber slices from his eyes and began his workday. Fantastic. Remy, is this a great way to relax? Go on tweet storms.
Oh my goodness. Where do we start? There are so many issues with what's happening here. I don't think it's about relaxing. I think this is enraging. I think someone shooting off tweets like that is getting angrier and angrier by the second. Those particular tweets are incorrect, right? He's complaining about not having a truthful story in the New York Times because he thinks they said he didn't speak to foreign leaders, but that's not what the story said. The story said that he spoke to foreign leaders without having had his first debriefing. So he misunderstood the story as he's sending out
You read the story, didn't you?
Angry tweets, yes.
I just read the tweets.
But the bigger issue is this is no longer a campaign, right? That he has been elected and he will be our president. So what do we want from our leader? Do we want him to be someone who is going to engage this way without much thought, without much consideration? Do we want a leader who is tweeting? Or do we want a leader who is going to maybe rise above and focus not on his own perceived insults by the press, which is kind of a selfish, narcissistic thing to do, but instead to think about the problems of the nation as a whole and focus on how to solve those?
Wow. Lou Dobbs, what do you think? I mean, look, the guy just wants to relax.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to relax at all. In point of fact, he was absolutely correct. The New York Times is failing. earnings down 96%. That's because their circulation is dwindling. The New York Times has carried out a absolutely sulfuric campaign against him, based not on fact or even reasonable balance. They have been attacking nonstop, as has the Washington Post and all of the leading bitter, nasty, vicious, did I mention venal?
You did.
Left-wing national outlets.
Well, look, the New York Times sent out a letter to their subscribers saying we're going to try to keep it fair and balanced. Didn't they? The New York Times did.
That's right.
But then they went right back to
their
the old ways, didn't
editor-in-chief and the publisher said they're going to, they really want to make amends. They want to be nice this time and actually professional. And the next day they unleash, the hounds of hell.
Yeah.
They've become preposterous as well as failing, as Donald Trump puts it.
Yeah. What word would you say? Preposterous? Failing? What do you think,
I like
Michael?
both of those, but I disagree with Remy. I want a president who is going to be, yelling at his enemies.
Amen, brother.
Thank you for calling me brother.
Yes.
Here's the press double standard. When Trump has an enemy, he tweets at them. When Hillary has an enemy, what does she do? She gets them fired. She gets private investigators after them. She kills them and has it look like a suicide. So I would much rather people just be sending out nasty tweets, just like FDR had his fireside chats. This is the 21st century's version of that. And let him attack people and let his fans and his voters know that these are not objective journalists. These are the enemy, and they have to be treated as such.
Wow, you take me back to the old days. We haven't talked about Hillary in about a week.
Remember her?
It was like I was reminiscing.
She's back.
Brennan, what do you think? I mean, like he said, it's a modern form of communication. He said it's where it's at.
I tweet late at night to relax. I do it with my pants off.
Wait, no,
I think Trump should try that.
How do you know he's not?
It worked for Wiener. We know that.
Yes.
It didn't work for him.
I'm making a joke. Thank you. Wow.
It didn't land.
This is literal Larry over here.
It is.
I have autism. Cut me some slack.
He is a bit of a literal Larry. But
Try caffeine. Try decaf, I mean.
look,
You knew that joke too.
do you think that Trump's transition is in disarray?
No, I think the New York Times is failing.
There you
No,
go.
I'd love to see the New York Times actually fail. Like, he's so prophetic. He's like, they're failing. No, I think he's doing it. He likes to tweet. That's the way they do it. And like the guy said, Larry?
Yeah.
Like Larry said,
That's Michael Malice.
I also answered Mr. Dobbs.
like Larry said, that's the modern day fireside chat.
Right. It really is. It's like that FDR used radio. And you know what? Let's talk about transition, Lou. Clinton, I just read this today. Clinton took till December to even choose his chief of staff.
That's terrible.
Was that in disarray or what? Did they complain then?
The New York Times didn't write a single story about disarray at that time. And as a matter of fact, most administrations in the modern era have taken at least 3 weeks before naming their first cabinet members. Most of them come in that third to sixth week. And yet somehow the New York Times is apoplectic over Donald Trump. And by the way, talking about tweeting, I mean, if he weren't tweeting, they would be talking about what a Luddite he is, rather than complaining about his use of social media, where he has only about 30 million followers.
Yes, combined on all the different platforms.
That,
right?
by the way, is somewhat bigger than the New York Times circulation.
Maybe, okay. So Trump relaxes by going on Twitter rants. I've never found that does it for me. The key to relaxing? Light exercise. We don't need to talk about that, do we?
I like how they looked at you like you were Godzilla. You know what I mean?
It was a strange day. Okay, some like to dine and ditch. Donald Trump likes to ditch and dine. On Tuesday night, the president-elect went out for dinner at Manhattan's 21 Club and neglected to tell the press pool. The press was not having it. One journalist tweeted, "The American people depend on accurate info. R.E. POTUS whereabouts," hoping for an appreciation of this to uphold solemn White House press tradition. Another wrote, "Poolers were not informed of Trump going to the 21 Club and were then not allowed in, and view blocked by dumpster. Stupid dumpster." One reporter was able to get reservations at the pricey restaurant and filmed Trump making his rounds. Look.
Thank you. Hi, Mr. President-elect.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get your taxes down. No,
Thank you.
Trump. Thank you.
Mr. President-elect, no heads up to the media, sir?
No heads up to the media, sir. No, he did not give the media a heads up. But maybe it's because the media runs headlines like this. Trump promised tax cuts to wealthy steakhouse patrons when he ditched reporters. Lou, is the 21 Club, can you call it a steakhouse? That was really what concerned me about this.
It's fine dining. I
Yeah,
hear.
there you go.
Fine New York dining.
It is a fine establishment.
Yep. Great.
Trump got a hamburger. Is he a man of the people or what?
He is a man of the people. I love the pictures. He's sitting there on a $50 million aircraft campaigning, and on the table in front of him is Kentucky Fried Chicken, and he has a look on his face like, now we're talking. Yeah.
Now, do you go to the 21 Club? I haven't been there.
Yes, yeah, it's very nice.
Yes. So this thing about the press pool, does he have to notify him every time he gets a hamburger?
No. As a matter of fact, the press pool, what a bunch of whiners. Are you kidding me? Are these people going to, these are, I mean, who do they think they are? He's supposed to notify them so they can trash him in their next story? I mean, what obligation does he have to people who behave like that?
That's it. Remy, do you have a different view of this? I'm just looking at your suspicious look on your face, like you don't agree with Lou Dobbs.
I don't understand. No, I think Lou Dobbs is always right about everything because it is
God
the
bless you,
great
Remy.
Lou Dobbs,
Yes.
of course. So I'm loath to disagree, and I don't disagree with much of it. But I do think that there's.
Here it comes.
I do think there's a significance to the tradition. It's not a law, it's not part of our Constitution, but the tradition is that the press corps, these are hardworking people who are assigned to cover this president-elect, are given notification. He plans to stay in tonight. He will be going out. So it's not an easy thing for the entire press corps to follow him in one direction or the other. And the purpose of this is not just for headlines or business, but it's to show the American people that we have access to our government, that it's a free and open society. So it's sort of the bedrock of our community that this tradition has sprung from. And there have been reports that he told the press corps he wasn't going anywhere, and then he went to the Keene Steakhouse, which, by the way, is probably one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. So it doesn't make him one of the people for
By
going
the way,
to a steakhouse.
the ever-vigilant White House press corps first reported it was Keene, but then they turned the limo and attended cars and went to the 21 Club.
It was like The Godfather, you know, he
No, it's
turned
not
around
you.
on the bridge.
It's the damn White House press corps you're defending so beautifully.
I'm not defending them, but I don't think we can say because they report unfairly, and I think objectively the press reports unfairly, without a doubt, as to Donald Trump. I don't think that justifies his tweets. I don't think it justifies trying to sneak behind their back and to break with an important tradition.
Well, Michael, he wasn't going to Malta. He was going to get a hamburger. It's not that newsworthy. Do they have to follow him everywhere?
Well, they're freaking out because this is someone who joked during the campaign that he's going to have them shot. Remember? He got on stage, he goes, Putin kills members of the press. Maybe I'll do that. No, maybe I will. These are horrible people. These are terrible people. And he pointed at them.
Yes.
So they must be very nervous because they don't know what their role and what their level of access is going to be to a Trump administration because he treats them with complete contempt and publicly treats them with complete contempt. And they're not going to know if they're going to have jobs anymore because he's going to completely overturn the communication between the presidency and the populace. And I think it's not going to be going through the middleman. I think it's going to be through social media because why does he need these interpreters to twist his words and make him look to be even more of a lunatic than he is?
But isn't that kind of a fair response? I mean, they didn't want him to have the job that will soon be his.
Yeah.
And if
Yes.
they were to lose their jobs as a result of that treatment, the universe is in balance.
There it is. Kevin Brennan,
Yes.
what do you think this, maybe the old rules don't apply. Yes.
They don't, Tom.
Yeah, there.
Because first of all, he's not even president yet, so who cares where he eats? And then second of all, wouldn't that slow down the whole meal thing if he's got to tell everybody and he's got to wait for everyone to show up?
That's it.
I'm from a big family. It always took us forever to get to the restaurant.
Yeah.
The 3 times we went because my dad was cheap.
I was gonna say-
And speaking of my dad, Lou Dobbs looks like my dad, so I'm not comfortable today because I feel like everything I say, he's like, this kid's an idiot. This guy's a real maroon to my left here.
Did your dad criticize you? He didn't.
He's criticizing me now and he's dead. So that just goes to show.
Yikes.
I still hear it and I feel it from Lou.
Yeah, well,
And Lou's got apoplectic. I mean, I don't even know what that means. So I mean, I'm sitting there like an idiot. I have to Google the whole show.
He's got, well, his.
I think I'm getting apoplectic. Am I right? Failing New York Times?
We're talking about the 21 Club, so he needs to step up the vocabulary. You know, we got to class it up.
Right.
Meanwhile, visitors are lining up at a Chinese zoo to see a bird that looks like Donald Trump. Wow. I don't know. I don't really see it.
Oh, come on.
The bird, a male, is called Little Red. One person on China's version of Twitter asked, so does this bird look like Trump, or does Trump look like a Chinese pheasant? Another said, come on, this bird is more handsome than Trump. This isn't the first bird to look like Trump. Look at him. Yes, that bird exudes confidence. Bald eagle no more, right? Lou,
Lou.
perfect segue, I thought.
I thought that I think the Chinese are getting a kick out of Trump.
I think they may get a kick out of Trump if they continue to warn him.
Yeah.
I love the fact that everyone from Jack Ma, the billionaire, if you will, ambassador from the People's Republic,
Yes.
With Alibaba. I mean, warning Donald Trump he better get along, he better cooperate. President Xi Jinping saying basically the same thing with undertones that are threatening. This is not the smartest way to begin a new administration.
I strongly disagree. I think they know the cut of Trump's jib, and they know that that's the language he speaks, that he respects strength and he respects coming at it from power, and they're not going to be conciliatory with him because he's going to regard that as weakness.
Well, that's not their style, is it? I mean, what are they doing down in the the Pacific?
Yeah.
They're pushy.
Yeah.
I mean, when do the Chinese do anything but push hard?
They've pushed hard against a president who's been passive.
Right.
Trump will not be passive, and the Chinese are very bright. For them to behave like this is, to me, anomalous. It is just not the way in which they operate, and this is just plain stupid.
Kevin took that as a real a slight. He thinks you're pulling out those words now just to.
No, just a taunt me.
He's doing it alphabetically, too.
Yeah, I'm staying in the A's.
That's true. Lou.
and don't respond with another A word. I know what it might
Okay.
be.
I have it in my head, though.
Yeah, I got it.
Coming
I can
up.
feel it.
Should you spy on your kids? We're not doing this story. Could Trump's trade policies jack up the price of an iPhone? Trump has said we're going to get Apple to start building their damn computers and things in this country instead of in other countries.
We're going to get Apple to start building their damn computers and things in this country instead of in other countries.
You see? He really said that. But there might be a downside for the small number of Americans who own Apple products. Trump has vowed to slap a tax on Chinese goods, possibly as high as 45%. And the Washington Post reports even a lower tariff at 15% could send the price of an iPhone soaring close to $700. Lou, I think tariff is a fancy word for tax, right?
Correct.
Yes,
Absolutely.
okay. While production of iPhones in China could come to a halt, production of Trump masks in Japan is way up. Since Trump's victory, a Japanese factory has been struggling to keep up with the skyrocketing demand. They've gone from producing roughly 40 masks a day to over 300. Just look at those masks. It's exciting, isn't it? Remy, that's not scary at all,
That's
is
a
it?
scary mask. I don't like that mask.
But can you see, I mean, okay, forget about the mask for now. Answer me first on the Apple thing. Would you pay, if the price of an iPhone went up, would you still buy them?
Okay, I don't know if the last time any of you went to buy an iPhone, or any kind of smartphone, if it's not that time in your contract, that's how much they cost now, $700. So,
Or higher.
Yeah, or higher. So I dropped my phone, and the screen broke, so my choice was to fix the screen or buy the phone, and the phone was almost $1,000, so I fixed the screen. That's how I know this. But if the price is going to skyrocket, then we're talking about $1,500, $2,000. I'm not sure that the benefit to the American consumer is going to be had. I don't think they're going to pay the tax. I don't think we're going to want to pay for it. I think either the production is going to go somewhere else, as opposed to not America, not China.
Yep.
Or we're not going to get the iPhones. We're not going to have access to the kind of products that we do now. So I'm not sure that the 45% tariff is necessarily the best idea.
Well, what's it going to do? Lou, we've been hearing this for years. You know, tariffs have been verboten, right? We can't.
On our side.
Yes, it's almost been a religion on the right, no tariffs. But is the doom and gloom, are what they are saying, is it true? However, was that articulate? It wasn't. But you know what I'm talking about.
I got the gist.
Yeah.
And it is not true. The 45% tariff would be on products that are produced in China that are being sold into this market. What sense does this make? Our middle class has been shrinking for the past quarter century. Net household net worth in this country is now exactly what it was 20 years ago, 1996. Imagine that. The same household net worth for our middle class. We've got to do something. And Trump is exactly right. We've got to manufacture. We have got to be creative. We've got to create jobs. And he's put it straightforwardly. The American dream resides within our middle class. If it's allowed to continue to shrink, that dream is gone. Already, most Americans are saying of their children, they're not going to have a better life than we had. And that's the first time in our history that any generation of Americans has said that. That should frighten everyone, irrespective of your politics, your ideology. The reality is we've got to do better for this country, for our middle class, and for future generations.
Well, that makes so much sense, Michael. So what was it? Why did both parties miss this? Why has free trade been the way, and no one, has caught on to this?
I think I agree completely with Lou. I think tariffs, if anything, are an anachronism. I mean, this harkens back to William McKinley. And what happens is just like Fight for 15. When you raise the price of the cost of production, whether it's the employee's salary or the price of making an iPhone, it's poor people who get hurt the most because they're the ones who have to bear the higher cost. So I think this is a terrible idea. This is the worst aspect of Trump's kind of candidacy, because this is actually hurting people in the pocketbook, and it's hurting the people who should be hurt the least, the poor people, the most.
But what about do you like these trade agreements? I don't understand them.
These trade agreements are written by lobbyists on behalf of corporations and screw over everybody else.
So what do you do? If you don't do TPP and you don't do tariffs, what do you do?
Free trade. You don't have to have it through these complicated, in the same way you don't have to have law to have capitalism, you don't have to have these agreements to establish a free market.
I want to get to you, Kevin, but I want to go back to Lou first.
I'm dying over here.
Okay, but Lou, what is it?
Can I yield
Where's the middle ground? Like I said, you answer that question. If you don't do these trade agreements and you don't do tariffs, what could you do?
I'm going to quote Donald Trump precisely. Do smart things. And the first thing is not to allow the Chinese or any other company to have tariffs against U.S. goods and enforce them to do so. The only way to do it is with the threat of a tariff, threat of a tax. And by the way, this goes to the issue that he talks a great deal about, which is Mexico, where so many companies, including Ford, are moving plants and production. It's crazy because they're simply arbitraging labor costs. Rather than pay a middle-class working man or woman in this country so that he can or she can provide for their families, the money is going to Mexico, and then the car is dumped into this market based on the lower labor costs. It's outrageous.
I think he keep pointing at me. I'm not Mexican.
No, I think he was pointing that way.
South.
You're in between.
South. He's pointing south. Yeah.
You're between Lou and Mexico, so you get pointed at. Now, Kevin, you can't stop people from buying these. People say, "Oh, we got to make it in America. We got to
make it in America."
But then they go to Walmart and they buy the cheapest thing there. How do you change people?
What? First of all, make more products here, especially iPhones, because I want my kids to have a summer job.
There you go.
They're 4 and 8, and they should be working. Isn't that
like the Chinese?
Like the Chinese, exactly, Lou. I mean, I'm trying to arbitrage his conversation.
Thank the Lord.
Okay, well, you know, you got to try everything, right? Do smart things. Coming up, halftime with TV's Andy Levy, minus TV's Andy Levy. Dave Smith sets the record straight next. And a brand new episode of the Red Eye Podcast is available now. Subscribe on iTunes and on FoxNewsRadio.com. Welcome back. Time to find out what we got wrong and what we missed from Dave Smith over in the Red Eye News Deck. Hey, Dave.
How are you, Tom?
Good. How's the news deck?
It's pretty good over here. Great show so far. I don't know how you do it. Every night, tip-top form.
I don't even know how we do it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You had Tucker Carlson do the opening.
Our new lead-in. Be nice to him.
I hear he's got a new show.
He does. It's hot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool he came in to do it. It would be a shame if it took away an opportunity from like an up-and-coming guy who really needed it, but whatever. That's cool. Could have been,
Exactly.
could have been a big moment for someone who doesn't have their own show. Whatever. It's all good. Okay. Great start. Michael Malice, my good friend Michael Malice.
Easy now.
You got everything right. First time ever on Red Eye. All right, moving on. See how I do that? This is how I treat my friends.
Smart man.
All right. Remy.
Yes.
You, on the first topic about the New York Times article, you said that Trump does not understand the New York Times story. You then indicated that you had read the New York Times story. Question, do you know what show you're on?
This is Red Eye with, who is it again? Tom Chalou.
We provide a link, and we encourage them to read the stories.
Are people supposed to read the stories when you send those links?
What don't we send a fairly complete dossier for people to read, and I hope they do read the stories. Kevin Brennan, do you read the stories?
Every day to my kids.
All right, so let's Kevin, let's move to you. Kevin, you don't seem happy. Like, to be here.
Right now or ever?
It's more of a general, like, where are you looking when Tom asks you questions? You said, at one point you said you can still hear your father insulting you. Are you looking at your father?
Well, Tom's, when I look at Tom, I get a little dizzy, so I look over his left shoulder.
All right.
Is that how, am I supposed to look at you in the eye?
Well, I don't know. I mean, sometimes you don't have eye contact, but you know, it doesn't. That doesn't bother me.
I'm not a murderer. I'm not hiding anything. I don't have a deep, dark secret.
Here's the thing about most of us who don't murder people. We don't have to tell other people we're not murderers. It's just for future reference, it's a very murdery thing to say to somebody. I don't murder people.
Guilty as charged.
All right, that's another murdery thing to say. All right. Lou Dobbs is here, the great Lou Dobbs. Lou, you said that the New York Times is down 96%. I looked it up. It is 95.9%.
I apologize.
Yes, so let's just, for the sake of getting facts right.
Yes, sir.
95.9%, nearly 96%.
Yes, sir.
So there's still, I had to defend the New York Times, and we have one person who reads their articles. Okay, Remy, you said that Lou Dobbs is right about everything. But the New York Times is only down 95.9%, and he said 96%. Are you ready to retract that statement?
You know what? I'm going to question the accuracy of your reporting right now because Lou is always right. I'm going with Lou.
So you're going to tell me that something that I read on the internet is not necessarily true. All right. So this is a ballsy show tonight.
There's a conundrum.
All right. Now, Mr. Lou Dobbs, you seem to indicate at one point that you think these trade agreements have not worked out for the middle class of America.
Correct.
You've had a TV show all these years?
Yes,
How come
sir.
you never mentioned it?
Actually, I've written 4 books about it and done so for the past 12 years.
Yeah, that was the joke. He talks about it
I
a
know.
lot. All right.
Sick bird.
He talks about that.
You just got Dobbs.
Maybe bring up immigration sometime. I don't know. That's a big one. That's a pretty big one, too.
That I never talk about.
All right, sorry, moving on. Okay, at one point, Mr. Dobbs, Tom asked you if his sentence about tariffs made sense, and you said, I get the gist of it. That was very kind of you.
Thank you very
We'd
much.
all like to thank you. You're probably too good for this show. Are you aware of that? Is anybody?
I am blissfully unaware of that.
Well, it is. I was right. A tariff is a tax, right?
Correct.
It's another word for it.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure that you guys weren't making fun of me.
Tariff
Well, Dave
is in fact
was.
a tax.
I would never.
A tariff is in fact a tax. I just checked that. Remy, you see what happens when you don't read the articles? You get your information this way.
Preparation is the key.
Preparation is the key, which is probably why this halftime job is so difficult. Every time I do this, I get a little bit more respect for Andy Levy, by the way.
It's amazing, isn't it?
You know what? You watch it normally, you're like, that guy's job is easy. All right. Remy, you think Americans are capable of weaning ourselves off of our phones if the price is high enough? How will I send my text messages?
I think we're going to have to pay a lot of money for phones, and not everyone's going to be able to do it. So maybe there'll be cheaper phones. Maybe we'll start using those flip phones again. Maybe everyone will get burner phones like a lot of my clients have.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
So, folks, can you imagine if you went back and told our grandparents that I paid right now for my iPhone probably about what my grandfather made in his annual salary, and then you said our story was, we're worried one day they might get too expensive?
It's a good point.
All right, you guys had a great first half. Keep it going on the second half. That's it from me.
Oh, thank you, Dave Smith. Coming up, harvesting the blood of teens. I can't wait. But first, Kennedy. Teen blood. It does a body good. It's true. Look at this headline. Blood from human teens rejuvenates body and brains of old mice. Researchers injected the youthful human blood into aging mice and found it improved their memory and boosted their physical activity. They noted the blood of young people must have something in it that's important for keeping them young. The researchers claim this method has the potential to be developed into anti-aging treatments for humans. Now look, I've known this for a while. Just look at me 3 years ago. As I told the authorities, I found that teen's blood.
Oh, that's a winner.
Yeah.
You shouldn't speak to the authorities.
Well, look, they were wondering. Kevin, what do you think? You've got,
Yeah, is teen blood better than old blood? I'd say yes. That's what refrigeration is about. Am I right?
Yeah.
And also, but the one thing with the mice, they also got very horny.
Yeah.
With this teen blood. So there's a yin and a yang. You go, you. You go, you.
You go, you. Go, you.
he wants to say,
Why is he pointing at me?
I meant to say you go, Lou, because I wanted him to say something smart after my dumb
no, well,
remark.
I'm wondering, Lou, if teen blood could put a little vim in your step, would you take it?
Just Vim?
Yeah, just
Wait a minute, I want more.
a little vinegar, a little.
Yeah, I think that sounds promising. And finally, well, I better not say it.
But
Say it, please.
Does it surprise you that young blood makes you young? It makes sense to me.
Well, when you think about transfusions, I mean, they do it just sort of willy-nilly. You're in a car accident, the blood is everywhere, they're trying to pump it into you.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could ask for the young blood.
Well, that's it.
You'd have a better shot, presumably, if
Right.
it's, But this is all predicated on teen blood helping old mice.
Yeah.
That gets a little.
It's always mice.
Suspect.
Look, I would inject the teen blood in me right now. I don't need the mice trials. I'd give it a try. What do you think?
Why do you keep telling me that? That's like the 7th time you've texted me. I'm going to inject young blood into myself.
No, I mean,
what this means in real life is that Nancy Pelosi is going to be House Minority Leader for another 100 years. They've got that mummy on something, and
Look.
she's not going anywhere. Neither Steny Hoyer or the third one, whatever his name
she
is.
looks great
For a mummy, absolutely.
she's not young. Nancy Pelosi.
She is ancient.
Yes, but
Yes.
I think she looks pretty well for her age. Remy, what do you think? It bothers me that these trials go on forever. I keep seeing rats running around in mazes. I want to do it myself.
We're not getting any younger, right?
Yeah.
What I want to know is who is the brainiac that said, all right, we're going to search for the next successful anti-aging treatment. So let's go to botulism first.
Right.
And we're going to inject botulism into people's faces.
It worked.
It does, right, but now we're going to go to blood, which is something that as you point out, Lou, is something that's relatively safe and happens on a fairly regular basis.
Oh my God! It's happening again.
my.
It's happening again.
How's it working?
I
Is it working?
I feel better already.
Pass the cup.
Yeah. I mean, look, like
need
I
a-
said, I'm sick of waiting for for these trials, and then you got the FDA. I think it's time for deregulation. Let us try our own
Deregulation.
cures. All right, guys, coming up, pizza by drone. Coming up tomorrow on the next Red Eye, Gavin McInnes, Jessica Tarlov, Mike Gunzelman, and Nick Mullen. Domino's has just delivered the first pizza by drone. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime. And they did it in the birthplace of pizza, New Zealand.
Keep an eye on the sky. The first delivery's on its way. It's a small fight for these pizzas, one giant fight for Domino's, Drew Drone by Flirty, and most importantly, our customers.
The pizza was delivered to an address in the town of Whangarapōa, which is just north of Auckland, as you know. The order, a chicken and cranberry pizza. It doesn't get more New Zealand than that. The head of Domino's says drone delivery could catch on because it beats traffic and cuts down on waiting time. New Zealand isn't the only country experimenting with different ways to deliver a pizza. Take a look. That gets more exciting every time I see that.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
So, Lou, are you excited about pizza by drone?
I am a man who gets excited about pizza, but by drone, they're terrific, but they don't have much range, so they'd have to get within probably 20 minutes of your house and then let the drone loose. So I'm not sure what's being achieved there.
Oh, that's the problem. They don't. I thought it would be for places like New Zealand where you're far away, like when you're out in the outback.
Go miles and miles. No way.
No.
About 20 minutes.
But, they're going to get better, Michael. These drones, the technology is always getting better.
Listen, I'm at home. I'm at 23 hours a day. I'm 1 hour away from being a shut-in. And I don't want to interact with someone even for 5 seconds to hand in money in exchange for my food. So this is going to be a combination of the fight for 15 and Trump's anti-immigration stuff, because they're looking for excuses to get rid of unskilled and possibly undocumented workers. And that's exactly what's going to continue happening. McDonald's, thank God, now has touch screens, so you don't have to interact with the cashier whose only job it is to introduce mistakes into your order. It's a wonderful thing.
It's amazing. Remy, it is true. I look for ways to not have to interact with people.
Yes.
When I get in the car, now when I get in the taxi, I use my phone, and I pay for it by phone because I don't even like reaching through to make a transaction. I like it to be as humanless as possible. Do you like that?
I don't believe that about you, Tom. You're very personable, very social.
I am, yes, but
I do I take your point, because when I order in food an awful lot. I'm not gonna lie. I don't cook for myself every single night. And when I decide to stay in, I don't get dressed up. I don't really want to see anybody. I put my hair on top of my head. I wash all my makeup off. I'm in my sweats. It's embarrassing to interact with the guy at the door.
You don't even want to open the door.
That's right. And you know what? The dogs want to run out, and it's uncomfortable.
The drone's going to come to your door? It's going to go past your doorman, up the elevator, and then to your door?
I don't think that they're talking about...
What are you talking about then? No, she's saying she doesn't want to interact, so I don't get it.
Well, I live in a home. I don't live in Manhattan anymore. I live in a home, so I don't have a doorman. I just have a front door that I actually have to open myself. And I also think, in addition to not having to deal with a person, it's going to be faster because the pizza place is literally around the corner, Lou, except it takes them 45 minutes to bring me a pie. 45 minutes.
45 minutes? You can't put on a little makeup in 45 minutes?
I'm not putting on makeup for a pizza, spoken like a true man.
Doesn't a drone cause like air accidents and stuff like that? Aren't drones like not safe in the air? They're bringing, they might crash a plane.
I think
he's laughing at me, not with me. Anyway, the point is...
It's not the drones.
The point is, did you see the drone was like dropped the pizza in the video that I saw, then it waited for like a tip, and then it left.
It did.
No, it hovered above, then it was like, no tip, I'm out of here.
No pizza.
You gotta tip it.
And what about the pizza delivery guys who are all going to lose their jobs? Like,
That's
the plan.
Where are these fat potheads going to go from the...
Did you say that's the plan?
We ended with fat potheads.
We're in on the plan.